Hello, everyone. I'm Elaine Quijano. We want to take you now to Chappaqua, New York, where moments ago, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton spoke to reporters after testifying before the House Oversight Committee about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
What I knew is what I said in my statement this morning. I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance. But whatever they asked me, I did my very best to respond. It was disappointing that they refused to hold a public hearing, so I wouldn't have to be out here characterizing it for you. You could have seen it for yourself. We had asked for that. We think it would have been better for the committee and its efforts to gather whatever information they are seeking.
Hello and welcome back, guys. Adam is here, so let's get started. This is the moment the MAGA Republicans never saw coming. Hillary Clinton just turned their own political theater against them in the most humiliating way possible. While Donald Trump and his entire inner circle are too terrified to sit for a deposition about Jeffrey Epstein.
All right, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is meeting with the House Oversight Committee in New York today. She agreed to answer questions under oath related to sex offender Jeffrey Epstein in order to avoid a contempt of Congress vote. Now, the former Secretary of State posted her opening statement on social media moments ago, referring to Epstein and Maxwell. Clinton's statement reads in part, "I had no idea about their criminal activities. I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein. I never flew on his plane or visited his island homes or offices. I have nothing to add to that, I should say."
Hillary Clinton walked into the room, looked them in the eye, and dared them to do their worst. Let me take you through what just happened in New York today because it's absolutely wild. The House Oversight Committee, run by James Comer and stocked with MAGA Republicans, subpoenaed Hillary Clinton for a deposition regarding Jeffrey Epstein.
I thought it was very repetitive. I thought that they asked literally the same questions over and over again, which didn't seem to me to be very productive. And then, as I said toward the end, there were other questions that were totally off subject. I started being asked about UFOs and a series of questions about Pizzagate, one of the most vile, bogus conspiracy theories that was propagated on the internet, that was serving as the basis of a member's questions to me. They had a chance to do it in public, and I wish they had done it in public. And I think they're making the wrong decision, avoiding doing it in public.
This was supposed to be their moment. After years of chasing Clinton conspiracies, after endless hearings about Benghazi and emails and everything else, they finally had her under oath. They were going to get her. Except Hillary Clinton didn't run from them. She didn't hide. She didn't fight the subpoena. She said, "Let's do it in public. Let's testify before the entire world. Let's make it a hearing and let everybody watch." And the MAGA Republicans, they panicked. They said no. They insisted on a secret deposition behind closed doors with no press allowed. Think about that for a second. The party that screams about transparency and demands investigations into everyone else refused to let the American people see their star witness testify. They wanted it concealed. They wanted it hidden. Hillary Clinton agreed to their terms, but she made it clear, "I'll show up. I'll answer your questions, but let's follow the rules." So today, February 28th, 2026, she walked into that deposition in her hometown of New York. And what happened next exposed these MAGA Republicans as the clowns they've always been. Lauren Boebert and other Republican members started sneaking pictures of Hillary Clinton during the deposition. They were trying to take photos and immediately send them to right-wing influencers like Benny Johnson. They were treating a congressional deposition like a social media content farm. Hillary Clinton immediately called them out. She said, "First of all, you're violating the rules. If you want to take pictures, let's just have the press in here. Let's have everybody see what you're doing. I want to speak to the world." James Comer and the Republicans shut that down immediately. No, 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 this stays secret. So after they disrupted their own deposition by breaking the rules and getting caught, they finally resumed. And Hillary Clinton answered every single question they threw at her. Hours of questions about the Clinton Global Initiative, about random conspiracy theories, about things that had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. She sat there and took it all. Now here's the part that makes this entire spectacle so damning for the Republicans. While they were spending all their energy on Hillary Clinton, where were they on the actual Epstein investigation? Howard Lutnick, Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary, a man with direct ties to Epstein's circle. No deposition. Les Wexner, the billionaire who funded Epstein for decades, who handed him millions of dollars, who gave him access to his private planes and properties. They scheduled a deposition in Ohio and not a single Republican showed up. Not one. Donald Trump himself, whose name appears thousands of times in the Epstein files, who was photographed with Epstein repeatedly, who partied with him, who flew on his planes. No deposition, no subpoena, no questions under oath. But Hillary Clinton, who has repeatedly stated she never met Epstein, never flew on his plane, never visited his islands, they went after her with everything they had. And when she showed up ready to testify in public, they slammed the door shut and took secret photos of her like teenagers at a concert. The contrast could not be more obvious. The people actually connected to Epstein get a free pass. The people Trump wants to protect never have to answer questions. But Hillary Clinton, the woman MAGA has been obsessing over for decades, gets dragged in for a secret deposition while Republican members use her as Instagram content. After the deposition, Democrats held a press conference outside. Ranking Member Garcia of the House Oversight Committee laid it out perfectly. He talked about how Republicans refused to allow the press in even after Hillary Clinton invited them. He talked about how they're protecting Trump and his associates while pretending to investigate Epstein. And then there's Lauren Boebert, caught on camera outside the deposition, looking absolutely ridiculous. Right-wing media was there, treating this like some kind of celebrity event. Beetlejuice Lauren Boebert, one sign read. That's the level of seriousness we're dealing with. But the real story here is Hillary Clinton's opening statement. Let me read you some of what she said because it completely eviscerates this entire Republican charade. Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member, members of the committee, as a former senator, I have respect for legislative oversight, and I expect its exercise, as do the American people, to be principled and fearless in pursuit of truth and accountability. As we all know, however, too often congressional investigations are partisan political theater, which is an abdication of duty and an insult to the American people. She then addressed the Epstein issue directly. The committee justified its subpoena to me based on its assumption that I have information regarding the investigation into the criminal activities of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Let me be as clear as I can. I do not. As I stated in my sworn declaration on January 13th, I had no idea about their criminal activities. I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein. I never flew on his plane or visited his islands, homes, or offices. I have nothing to add to that. Then she pointed out the obvious hypocrisy. Mr. Chairman, your investigation is supposed to be assessing the federal government's handling of the investigations and prosecutions of Epstein and his crimes. You subpoenaed 8 law enforcement officials, all of whom ran the Department of Justice or directed the FBI when Epstein's crimes were investigated and prosecuted. Of those 8, only 1 appeared before this committee. 5 of the 6 former attorneys general were allowed to submit brief statements stating they had no information to provide. And then the killer line, you have held 0 public hearings, refused to allow the media to attend them, including today. Despite espousing the need for transparency on dozens of occasions, you have made little effort to call the people who show up most prominently in the Epstein files. And when you did, not a single Republican member showed up for Les Wexner's deposition. Not a single Republican showed up to question the man who funded Jeffrey Epstein for decades, but they all showed up to take secret photos of Hillary Clinton. She continued, The institutional failure is designed to protect one political party and one public official rather than to seek the truth and justice for the victims and survivors, as well as the public who also want to get to the bottom of this matter. My heart breaks for the survivors, and I am furious on their behalf. Then she dropped another truth bomb about the Trump administration's actual record on fighting trafficking. Infuriatingly, the Trump administration gutted the Trafficking in Persons Office at the State Department, cutting more than 70% of the career civil and foreign service experts who work so hard to prevent sex trafficking crimes. The annual trafficking report required by law was delayed for months. The message from the Trump regime to the American people and the world cannot be clearer. Combating human trafficking is no longer an American priority under the Trump White House. Think about that. The party that claims to care about stopping sex trafficking just gutted the office responsible for fighting it. They cut 70% of the experts. They delayed the annual report. They made it clear that this issue isn't actually important to them. But they had time to subpoena Hillary Clinton and take secret photos of her. The deposition is over now. Hillary Clinton answered every question. She was composed, professional, and devastatingly effective. And now, Democrats are demanding that the full transcript be released immediately. They want the world to see what happened in that room. Republicans are refusing, of course. They want to keep it secret because they know how bad they look. They know that the transcript will show them asking irrelevant questions while protecting the real players in the Epstein saga. They know it will expose their political theater for what it is. But here's the thing. The damage is already done. Hillary Clinton just showed the entire country what real accountability looks like. She showed up. She answered questions. She invited the press. She dared them to do their worst. Donald Trump? He's hiding. Howard Lutnick? Protected. Les Wexner? No Republicans showed up. The entire Epstein network that actually intersected with Trump world? Untouched. This is the final revenge. Not because Hillary Clinton got anything on them, but because she exposed them. She walked into their trap and turned it back on them so completely that they're the ones who look ridiculous. Lauren Boebert sneaking photos like a paparazzo. James Comer slamming the doors shut to keep the press out. Republicans refusing to question the actual Epstein associates while obsessing over Clinton. The Trafficking Prevention Office gutted while they pretend to care about victims. The contrast is so stark that even the most die-hard MAGA supporters have to notice. And let's be clear about what this deposition actually accomplished for the investigation. Absolutely nothing. It didn't advance the search for truth about Epstein. It didn't help survivors. It didn't hold anyone accountable for the crimes that were committed. It was pure political theater designed to give MAGA influencers content for their social media feeds. That's all it ever was. But Hillary Clinton refused to play the role they assigned her. She didn't get flustered. She didn't get defensive. She didn't give them the sound bites they wanted. She simply stated the facts, pointed out their hypocrisy, and invited the world to watch. And when they refused to let the world watch, she made sure everyone knew why. Now, Democrats are calling for the transcript to be released. The pressure is going to build. Eventually, it will come out. And when it does, the American people will see exactly what happened in that room. They'll see a former Secretary of State answering questions calmly and directly, while Republican members treated a congressional deposition like a backstage pass. This is the moment the MAGA investigation into Hillary Clinton finally died. Not with a bang, but with Lauren Boebert taking secret photos and James Comer hiding from the press. The irony is perfect. After years of promising to get her, after endless hearings and investigations and conspiracy theories, this was their big chance. They had her under oath. They could ask anything, and they blew it, because they weren't interested in answers. They were interested in content. They were interested in photos for right-wing influencers. They were interested in keeping it all secret so they could spin whatever narrative they wanted. Hillary Clinton called their bluff. She offered transparency. She offered to do it in public. And they ran from it. That's the final revenge. Not that she won some legal battle or exposed some conspiracy, but that she showed the entire country who these people really are. Performative hypocrites who care more about social media clout than actual justice. The survivors of Epstein's crimes deserve better. The American people deserve better. And today, Hillary Clinton made sure everyone knows we're not getting it from this Congress. The deposition is over. The transcript will eventually come out. And the MAGA Republicans who thought they were finally going to get Hillary Clinton will have to explain why they spent their time taking secret photos instead of actually investigating the people connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Good luck with that.